Welcome to Your Best Years Begin Here podcast, brought to you by theseniorlist.com. Your Best Years focuses on bringing you interviews with experts and educators to live a fun, free, and fulfilled life as a mature adult. I'm your host, Heather Havenwood, so let's have some fun and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Havenwood, and welcome to the Senior List podcast. I'm your host, and here at the Senior List, and our website is theseniorlist.com, we focus on providing seniors and their caregivers the resources, tools, and discounts they need and want to live a fun, loving, and restorative life. Today, I'm going to be actually interviewing the co-founder and creator of theseniorlist.com, Amie Clark. Are you there?
I'm here, Heather. Hello.
Yay, this is so exciting. So I actually am going to be interviewing you. How cool is that about your own company?
It's great. Very exciting.
It's a lot of fun. So let me tell you who Amie Clark is. Amie Clark is a social worker turned publisher. She has worked in rehab settings and spent over a decade helping older adults find senior housing when living at home was no longer an option. Amie now dedicates her time to sharing her insight and perspective, helping others have fun, be safe, and live out their best years of their life. Amie is the co-founder and creator of theseniorlist.com. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Super exciting. So we're sharing today on your new podcast. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So I really want to start at the beginning. Let's start with, how did the seniorlist.com, how did that get created? What happened? I mean, here you are, you're working what were you doing? Like, what were you doing at the time, and then how did it get started?
So at the time, back in 2008, I had another company that it helped seniors find housing in the Portland metro area when living at home was no longer an option. And we had situations where families would ask, this facility seems great, but what have other people said about it? And at the time, the only feedback I could really share with them was my own personal experiences working with other families. But there was no place to send them to for them to see, reviews that were written about the facilities by other family members. You can see state data and all that, but that really didn't give people much of a personal, report about how other people were doing at these communities.
Was it like a Yelp for senior living?
Exactly. Yeah. There at the time there was not. So it was kind of a light bulb moment. Like, well, I could create that, and I could ask, my other clients and my colleagues' other clients to write reviews about their experiences with these senior housing communities. So it started out as just a very small local community directory, essentially, of senior housing communities within the Portland area. And not long after that, we had feedback that, it'd be great if this covered all of Oregon. And then not long after that, it was like, well, why don't you do this for the whole US? So it turned into a nationwide directory of senior housing communities and encouraged people to write, reviews and feedback about those communities.
Okay, great. And so is that still around today? Was that the original senior list, or has that been taken down? What happened to that?
Yeah, so shortly after that, of course, there came into Angie's List is the best example I can use. Angie's List existed as a great resource for people to find, handymen and painters and contractors for their homes. And they also started doing senior housing reviews, and then a couple of other websites that are still around today, which are great sites, caring.com, Gilbert Guide. Actually, those two companies merged. A Place for Mom. All those companies all started also encouraging reviews. And because those were much bigger websites, we had a hard time keeping up with the amount of data that we needed to be importing into the site. So what you see today has completely changed from what existed back when we started. So the senior housing directory is no longer a component of our site, although we do, we rate the best senior housing communities in major markets around the US. So that component does still exist on the site.
So let's talk about what the seniorlist.com is now today. Like, what is it now?
So now the senior list rates, we review, we write about the latest senior care trends. We're looking at incorporating a lot of new categories into what we cover. Medical alert systems has really been our focus over the last couple of years, and really delving into that market and breaking down the best of the best, because there's a lot of medical alert systems out there, and some of them are amazing and some of them not so much. So we still continue to focus on medical alert systems and making sure people are aware of the ins and outs of that industry and not getting themselves locked into long contracts, and, make sure they have great pricing and all of that good stuff. And now we're also starting to work on other categories, building out a little bit about travel and leisure and senior health, senior dating are some of the exciting things we're working on.
It's interesting, the word senior, right? I kind of want to see if you dive into that. I mean, I just think right now, technically AARP, I think it's when you're 55, you technically can get an AARP. Yeah. And I just find that, I think that crazy. I mean, just this week alone, I was at a spin class, and my spin instructor who kicked my booty was 60. She was kicking it, and she was 60 and killing everybody in the class, and she's 60 or plus. She was 60 or 61. She looks great. I don't consider her a senior, So tell us more about where you find that now. Do you find that's kind of an odd word, and find like you redefining that in the culture?
For sure. And I think seniors and boomers are redefining that word as we speak.
Yeah,
I mean, there are plenty of people who technically fall within the age range that most people would think of as a senior, 70s, 80s. They don't think of themselves as seniors. I don't know that there's necessarily a mainstream word that has come along to replace the word senior, but senior it's definitely not a word that most people identify with. I think what we are trying to help with on the site is helping people through those years, and, no matter where they're at on that journey. So whether they're a caregiver, they're a family member, they're a 90-year-old, who's caring for a spouse, wherever someone is along that journey of caring for a senior, a loved one, an older adult in their life, there's something on our website that will apply to them.
And that's such a huge market right now for the caregivers.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Women and men and are in their 40s taking care of their parents. And I think that's a big, huge market right now that need all the help they can get, because most of them are dealing with what I call two different generations. They're dealing with the kids, their kids, and then they're dealing with their parents. And they're like, oh my gosh, how do I keep up with the latest and greatest and the best tools, resources, and things that they want or need? What I think is fun, though, what you're creating is you're also creating more of a fun atmosphere. You're talking about travel, about love, getting back in love again and dating again. And I think that's a really great space. So where do you see that kind of heading for 2018 and beyond?
I do see us as being an all-encompassing site that people can come to our website, whether they are dealing with their own, they're getting back into the dating scene at 50 years old, and they're looking to restart their life, and they're looking to travel. They're looking to start planning for their, really start planning for their future financially. And also for people who are, I think of my own grandmother. She's 89 years old, and she still uses a computer. She's on social media, and she just wants to have some fun at the point in her life. Her tunnel is a little bit smaller, but she's still interested in being involved in a community. She's still interested in learning new things. So for people to be able to come to our site and see a little bit of everything that may or may not, apply to them, no matter what stage they're at in this process, that's where I see us being.
And you talked earlier about community, and that's a really important piece as people get, as we all age, is really creating a community around us. So what are some things that the senior list is doing up and coming in the future about community?
Yeah, so actually right now we have a very robust Facebook group called All About Senior Discounts. So that's a great example of community that's been created within the site. People who are interested in senior discounts are on this Facebook page. They're talking about senior discounts in their own local markets. They're talking about, how to save on insurance. They're talking about, my McDonald's down the street gave me a senior discount on coffee. There's lots of interaction and lots of chatter happening on that particular, community group within Facebook.
What was the name of the group again?
It's called All About Senior Discounts. I think if you go onto Facebook and just search for that in the search tool, it should pop right up. So we'll also be creating, similar type communities surrounding other topics like senior dating, travel and leisure, financial. Those are all in the works happening this year. So that's an easy way. We also have a very robust group of people that comment on our site. Most of the things that we publish allow for comments, and people frequently leave comments. They share their stories. They share their frustrations, whether that's about a specific company or a specific topic. There's a lot happening for people that come to our site, not just reading what we have to say. There's a lot of other interaction. We also have forums on the website where people can ask and answer questions. So there's a lot of different ways that people can communicate within our community for the senior list.
It's interesting. I think that as we get older and it's more of a global economy and people are traveling and they're doing things and they're out and about, it's like Facebook is kind of that place where you can create that community that you guys are doing and say, hey, what's going on in your world? What's happening in your world? And here's some things that are happening with my world, and sharing that experience. I think that's definitely new for that generation. I think it's really awesome. So I love what you're doing. So let's talk about the vision. Let's look at 5 years down the road, Ms. Clark. Where do you see the seniorlist.com heading?
I see us looking a lot like another large senior focused website that's out there that really is serving people's needs, that's allowing people to have a fun life, that's allowing people easy access to the tools and the resources that they need. That really we can become the go-to website for people to say, hey, I know that I'm interested in this. I want to travel to this area, and I know the senior list has either been there or they've covered it, or I want to know about the latest discounts, that are in my local area, and I know that they're working on that. So I'm going to go there and check that out.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're talking right now on the Senior List podcast. So why did you create the Senior List podcast, and who should be listening?
We created the podcast because I had some amazing advice from you.
Thank you.
And, it's not something we had done before. I think that we are able to reach a whole new audience with our podcast. Podcasts are huge, and people listen to them, and it's another way of delivering information for us. So I'm excited about some of the fantastic guests that we're going to have on the podcast. There's some really exciting things in the works. It's some really fun people are going to be showcased on the podcast. So
we have a huge lineup for this year, and some great experts that just really want to give to what I call the mature adult community. And we have one coming up on sex and well-being and relationships and just like all kinds of fun things. So it's definitely going to be a great show and podcast to listen to upcoming for 2018, and share with your loved ones, share with the caregivers. It's really for the community in large, and anyone that's serving what I call the mature adult community at any level. And if you're interested in if you know someone that would love to be on the podcast, please reach out to the seniorlist.com, go to the contact area, and we would love to be open to, interviewing them if you think it's a good fit.
Absolutely.
I love that. Well, I love your vision that you're creating, and you see it in 5 years. I guess, did you really have this kind of vision for this when you first got started in 2008?
No, I did not. The website has grown. My favorite, I cannot take credit for this saying, but somebody said, this was your side gig that's now turned into your full-time thing. And so to me, that really encapsulates, we took it from just this little idea that was meant to serve a very small group of people. And it's now grown into this platform, and I get to serve. That's the social worker, social worker in me. I get to serve a whole bunch of people, many, many, many more people that I could ever have touched in my lifetime, one-on-one. And I get to use this website as my platform to share the information that I have gleaned, working with seniors throughout my career, and sharing all the other experts. I certainly don't know everything, but being able to bring other people to our platform and share their knowledge, it's been an amazing journey with the site.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. You dreamed really big. You started small, but you dreamed big, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And it's because of the community. They want it. They want the information because they want to have amazing lives. They want to have fun. They want to be restorative. They want to, I call age well, they want to have fun and a loving life and what I call the mature adult space. I think it's when we're at that age, we actually get to realize what we really want. So and they need some help to make sure they're getting the best products, resources, tools, and discounts that they deserve.
Absolutely. And the one thing, it's not all roses, and I recognize that as well. We have made it sound like this is all happy, good stuff, and it's not always all happy, good stuff. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that there are plenty of things on the site that we talk about and discuss and write about that are not so fun and not so happy. So, there really is a little bit of something for everybody.
And that's the caregiver in you. That's the social worker.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love that part because it really is heart-centered. You're truly a heartpreneur in this, and you really, you're serving a greater good community, because there is a lot of people like myself that I had to go through that with my mom and figure out where is the best place to place her and how do I know that they're safe. And there's just so many things to think through when you're the adult taking care of your parent, So I think you're creating a safe space for people to come and share those concerns and challenges, but also getting answers.
Absolutely.
Love that. Yeah. Everyone, well, to go check out, please subscribe to here at iTunes or Google Play, wherever you're listening to us, the Senior List. And then make sure you go to her Facebook page. Go to which one is the name of the community again?
The senior discounts page is called All About Senior Discounts, but we also have a Facebook page just called The Senior List on Facebook. And you could also sign up for our newsletters. We have some great content in our newsletters. We don't overwhelm you. It's always good stuff. So sign up for our newsletters also.
theseniorlist.com. Go check that out, especially the community groups on Facebook. So again, this is Heather Havenwood, your host, and you're listening to the Senior List podcast. Thank you for listening to Your Best Years Begin Here podcast, brought to you by theseniorlist.com. I'm your host, Heather Havenwood. Please visit our website at theseniorlist.com and join many of our community groups on Facebook. Here at the Senior List, we want to hear from you. Do you have a recommendation or a person or company you want us to interview? Tell us. Email us at podcast@theseniorlist.com. Again, that's podcast@theseniorlist.com. Until next time, one goal, one passion, helping you live your best life.